In our last two videos on the implementation of VAT on online transactions, we covered the issue of when VAT is chargeable and when it is not. We also looked at why this change is good and makes for a better collection system. We touched briefly on the issue of ensuring that we as a country receive all of the VAT that is due to us. But that is the subject of this video. And to better explain, let's think about this with the help of an imaginary visitor named Jane. It's cold and wet in London, and Jane sees an advertisement for Barbados on a billboard. That evening she looks online at vacation packages to Barbados and finds one for 1 week that she likes. She books it. The next night, excited to be going to Barbados, she looks at all the things to do. She decides to book a catamaran cruise and rent a car for 3 days. She pays for all of these online with her credit card. Nothing that she has booked is actually directly with the company providing the service, but all were through online booking agents. Here's the question: what happens to the VAT? The flight originates in the UK and therefore is subject to the UK's tax policies, but everything else is being consumed in Barbados. Are the online booking agents returning this VAT to Barbados as they're supposed to? The truth is that many are, but there are also now so many ways to book and pay for these services that it's very hard to police. Moreover, since it's impossible for the government to have access to the books of all of these companies, it's impossible to say if the correct amounts of VAT are being returned. This change to the way that VAT is collected for online transactions will help to solve this, since the VAT will be charged and separated at the time of purchase. The portion due to the provider will then go to them, and the portion due to the government will immediately come to the government. It also becomes much more transparent. Jane can now see how much VAT she is paying, as this is now an itemized line. There is a lot of fancy technical footwork in terms of how this happens, but it is an automatic process and based on very clear rules and parameters, such as our earlier rule about where the consumption takes place. Now, that's all well and good, you say, and I'm glad that Barbados is going to get the money that is due to it, but how is this going to affect me when I buy things online? Well, the same rules apply. If you are going to consume that item in Barbados, then you should be paying VAT on it, right? If you buy an item and have it shipped to Barbados, the merchant will apply VAT at the time of purchase. This will be clearly shown on your receipt, and when your items arrive, you simply show this to Customs and can be fast-tracked through the port. Customs can verify that the invoiced amounts are correct and the VAT has already been paid. Of course, Customs still needs to verify that the goods are what are listed and the quantities match, and police our borders for illegal imports. But this change helps to ensure that the correct amount of VAT is paid in the first place. So let's work through this with some more examples, with a new imaginary friend who is a Bajan called Adrian. Adrian is going to take a vacation to the US. He's going to spend 3 days in Miami and then 3 days in New York. In Miami, he's staying in a hotel and renting a car, and in New York, he's staying with a friend. Adrian's flight is subject to VAT. His hotel and car rental are subject to Florida sales tax, and as these are being consumed overseas, there is no VAT due. Likewise, any food or drinks that he buys, or anything he consumes, going to the movies, to a museum, or other activities are not subject to VAT from Barbados, only local taxes. His flight from Miami to New York is also not subject to VAT, but subject to whatever taxes are due in the US. In New York, Adrian buys a new TV in a store. He pays sales tax because the item is sold in New York. He also buys a new stereo to go along with his TV, but buys this online and has it shipped to his friend's house. Neither of these purchases attract VAT, as neither was delivered to Barbados. However, on his return to Barbados, Customs at the airport ask him to produce the receipts, and VAT and any duties are paid on arrival. Now let's look at Sonia, who has a store in Bridgetown but buys most of her stock online. Now, when she pays online, she will pay the VAT at the time of purchase, since the goods are being shipped directly to Barbados. When the goods arrive, she simply shows Customs the receipt, showing that the VAT has already been paid, and her goods can now be fast-tracked and cleared more quickly. But what about online services that are consumed in Barbados? Again, once we know the point of consumption, this becomes clear. If you rent a movie from an online movie site, then yes, VAT would be payable in the same way that you would pay VAT on your existing local TV service. So, as you can see, not much changes really. The new legislation is clearly targeted at online transactions only and will not affect anything else. In the case of online transactions, it will actually make the process easier and more transparent, and make it easier for Customs to verify and clear goods faster. More importantly, it will help significantly to ensure the VAT which is currently being charged through online transactions is actually making its way to Barbados. If we can do this and the government can generate more revenue through better enforcement, we all stand to benefit in the long run with better services and reduced direct taxation. Now, like anything that's new, there are going to be some teething issues and lots more questions than we can answer. And the Prime Minister knows this. That's why government is setting up a special unit within Customs to deal with these issues specifically and ensure that any issues arising are fast-tracked and solved as quickly as possible. In the end, all of these changes will help to make a better Barbados.